Hello, this is Vanlife Goodies, and today I want to talk about some big ideas for upgrading your camper van. But don't worry, because if you've got big ideas but smaller pockets, then I've also got some ideas for cheaper upgrades too. And if you can wait till the end, I'm going to share what changes and upgrades we want to make to this van, and you might be able to help me out with that. So the first upgrade I want to suggest is a solar panel. Some of you will already have solar panels, but if you haven't got a solar panel, please consider it. Yes, we don't get lots of sunshine in the UK, but depending where you're travelling, if you're travelling in Europe, then it's definitely worth it. You will never ever have to pay for energy again if you have a solar panel and you travel to Europe and you're in the sun. Most people, of course, will travel when it's sunny. And in the UK, as long as you've got daylight and your solar panel's clean, it will draw energy, basically free energy. So you can be off-grid more, and even if you're not off-grid, if you're just using it every day for making a brew in the back and stuff like that, it is just well worth it. There is a couple of different styles of solar panel. I've got a fixed solar panel on my roof that came with the van. In the past, we have used the movable ones, so you can get like a battery bank. I got given an all powers one, just a little mini one, and you can plug in the solar panel. It's like a flexible folding one, and that will charge your power bank. Now, I also, when I had the T5, I had a little attachment connected to the battery at the back, so that I could put a folding solar panel outside and plug it into the battery at the back, and it would charge the battery. So that if I was parked up maybe on Shell Island for a week, then I might as well use the daylight and the sunshine while I'm there, because I'm not driving in between. So if you haven't got a solar panel, go and check them out, because they've come down in price. They've improved in quality. I used to have a flexible solar panel on my T5, which ended up not working because it was when they first came out that I got it, and apparently they've improved quality hugely. So solar panel, if you haven't got one, that's a brilliant upgrade. Do a bit of research about how you're going to use it. I might do a video about solar panels. It won't be tech, it'll be practical things, because I'm not a tech person. Somebody else can do that. So solar panel, number one. Number two, you probably already have this in your camper van, unless you've done a self-build and you haven't got this. So essentially, you have a leisure battery in the back of your van that works your energy in the back of your camper van, your lights and things like that. Now, that needs to charge up somehow, and it either charges via solar, or it charges when you plug into your plug at home, you know, your kind of electric hookup. But the other way that it can charge, which is a must, is a DC-DC charger. So DC-DC charger, every time you drive, some of the energy that is created by driving your camper van then goes to charge up your leisure battery, which then means you can use it in the back of your camper van for your lights and things like that. So a DC-DC charger, if you haven't got one, just to get one fitted. They're not actually that expensive to buy, but it's important you get the right spec to fit your kind of battery, because when I had my lithium fitted in my T5, I had to change the DC over. But any decent lithium battery supplier will help you with what you need for that. And if you haven't got lithium, then you can just get quite a cheap DC-DC charger, but you need to take the lead from your engine to your leisure battery, which might involve paying someone to do that, but most mechanics would easily do that. So DC-DC charge, so there are a couple of basic ones. Okay, internet. Okay, why do we need internet? Okay, there's an argument, yes, of not having internet while you're travelling for camping expeditions and getting back to nature and all that. But there's also an argument that when it rains, you want to get on your phone, you want to watch a film, you want to do some work, you need to keep up with your emails, whatever it might be. You need to check what your kids are up to on the cameras at home, whatever it might be. The internet is kind of essential nowadays. Now, most of the time you can use your phone if you've got unlimited on your phone, or even enough gigabytes if you like, and you can use your phone and you can hotspot. So if you've got a computer, you can turn your hotspot on your phone. Most phones, smartphones do it now, and your computer will connect to your phone and use that. But what I've found is that most of the places I like to travel to are kind of countryside, and often I can't get a brilliant signal. So we did quite a bit of research about some of the options, and I'm going to basically give you two options. So one is Starlink, and there's a big Starlink and a mini Starlink, and there's lots of different Starlink um, um, subscriptions, but that's the problem for me. It's a subscription. So if you live in your camper van, it's probably worth paying for that as an internet subscription, and that directly goes to the satellite. So you won't have a problem anywhere with Starlink. I've heard they're brilliant. I haven't got one. I can't recommend it because I haven't got one, but I've heard from what I've watched and the research I did that they're very good. They are very expensive. I think they start like £90 a month. So for me, that's like way too expensive for just camper van travel. So what we got is the I say we did research. I did research on YouTube of a chap that lives in his camper van. I've done a kind of video about this, and I'll try and put his video link below so you can go and watch him. And he found this little aerial that we just magnetised to the outside of our van because we wanted to test it before we do it as a constant you know, completely wired, if you like, and it magnetises it outside the van, and it's basically like a little router with a SIM card in, and this aerial that literally costs 15 quid off eBay, all in my eBay and Amazon shop, with some little connectors that go into the back of it, and oh my goodness, so we were at Shell Island as an example. We tried this router with just hotspot, and I think we were on like 2 or 1 bar. It wasn't great at all. We were getting it, but it was so slow. And then when we put the router in, it was like faster than my internet at home. Honestly, I was like well impressed. So I will put the details below because a few people are like, oh, you forgot to put the details. No, I did, because I do all these videos and then I forget, like, you know, to share the vital bit of information. But it's the Netgear, I think it's Nighthawk one, but I'll put it down below. A little router, you put a SIM card in. Now the SIM card I got was, over the summer, I paid for unlimited gigabytes for 2 months, and I paid for that because it was worth it, because we're doing a lot of travelling over the summer. What I want to do now is get like a SIM card that is just, I can just have an amount of gigabytes on it, and then we can just use it as and when we need to, because a lot of the time we can just hotspot on our unlimited on our phones. It's when I'm in a place where that's not working or the signal's not great. So internet is a great upgrade. If you want to really go for it, then I believe going Starlink is the way. And you can get it fitted to your roof, you can have it hardwired in, but this Netgear you can hardwire in. Again, not dead cheap, but a lot cheaper than some of the other options I was looking at. Quite reasonable actually, you know, a few £100, and you've basically got internet whenever you want, kind of thing. So internet upgrade, okay. So a light bar. Now I haven't got a light bar, but I've seen these light bars, and if you want to travel to remote regions, maybe in Europe or wherever it is you travel, these light bars go across the top of your camper van, and they are just like really, really bright. So your headlights, where your headlights don't really don't cut it. I mean, I reckon even in Scotland you might need a light bar sometimes. And they look cool. They make your van look like so cool. So yeah, so a light bar, that is definitely an upgrade that you kind of most of the time don't need, but it looks so cool and it would be a great upgrade. Okay, next upgrade would be, these are all ideas, by the way. So a bull bar. So I'm going to tell you a story. So like a bar that goes on the front of your van. I haven't got one on this van, but I did on the T5, and I'm going to tell you why. I went to Aldi to do my shop, parked my T5 in the car park. While I'm in Aldi, someone came up to me and says, do you own a van? And I said, yes. A white camper van? Yes. Someone's just driven into it. It turns out, get this, that a smart car, of all things, she'd slipped on a, whatever she was doing, she slipped and reversed directly into the front of my camper van. Now, you would think a smart car wouldn't make much of a mess, but it literally took out the front end. It was ridiculous. I was absolutely gutted. She was in a mess as well. It's just a smart car, but I ended up not having my camper van for months while they were sorting it all out through the insurance. And from that day on, I had a bull bar fitted, because I thought, if anything hits me again, it's going to come off worse for you than me, because it was such a pain having, for the price of a bull bar, it was such a pain having my van like unable to use for so long. And it looked cool. It looked really cool. I'm going to try and find some footage now of the bull bar on the T5. It was awesome. Now, I haven't got one on this one, so maybe that's something I might consider in the future. At the minute, I've got other things that I want to spend my money on, mostly holidaying and getting away and, you know, whatever. But a bull bar would be an awesome upgrade, and that with a light bar, you've got a beast, which brings me to my next one. If any of you watch Yorkshire Pop Top Adventure, he's just had these off-road tyres fitted. Now, we don't really travel anywhere yet that I think I'd need off-road tyres, but I have to say they look awesome. So I think that would be an awesome upgrade if you wanted like off-road tyres. They look great and they do enable you to, well, you know, get off your campsite easier if it's been raining for the whole weekend, which it was at the Yorkshire Pop Top meetup. In fact, I said to Colin, if you can't get off the campsite with them tyres, then that's really not good. But he did, he got off fine, of course. But yeah, I reckon, you know, some new tyres, off-road, beastie tyres, light bar, bull bar. Boom! Yeah, you got a beast. Anyway, I have none of those things. I still love my camper van. Off-road tyres. Right, the last thing, I'm sure there's loads. I want you to put below what you think is an awesome upgrade for a camper van. Put below what you've had, who you would recommend, what you reckon was like the best thing ever. The last thing I want to say is an awning. Now, it has been really sunny this year and I've enjoyed being out in it, but it also usually chucks it down all the time. And we used to have an RT5, now what was it? It was the Remo Palm Beach awning, and it slid into just the rail on the side of the camper van, and it worked brilliantly. It worked brilliantly in the rain, brilliantly in the sun. It was high enough up. If you've got a T5 or a T6, get one of them. They're just brilliant. And say it was like freezing cold all weekend, you just wouldn't take it with you because you know you're not going to use it. So it was kind of removable, and it was just kind of a little bag like this, which in this van would be fine. The problem with it for the crafters is that the poles are just not big enough. I don't have a rail fitted to this and I don't know what to do. So an awning is a great upgrade, but what I want you to help me with is what awning would you recommend for a VW crafter? I think for the T5s and T6s I would recommend the Remo Palm Beach. Absolutely brilliant. Had it for years. We passed it on to the people that now have our camper van and they've used it and said it's brilliant. Held up in all winds and everything. And I know you can have the wind out ones, but the thing is I'm not sure I want to carry that weight around like all the time when I don't use it all the time. So I kind of need a solution that I can put in the back if I need or get out if I need, but I don't have to carry it all the time. So what are your thoughts with that? So if you can't afford a bull bar or a light bar or a lithium battery, we're talking big money here, or all-ridge tyres or whatever they're called, off-road tyres, and then you might want a little upgrade that's not going to cost as much. So I've got a few little suggestions here. So this is something I want, I haven't bought yet, but I've done a bit of research, and when camping, of course, you want a barbecue, and you want a barbecue ideally that'll turn into a fire pit, and you also want one that's not going to buckle, and you also want one that's going to fold away. Well, I've found the perfect thing. So this is the Snow Peak Pack and Carry fireplace, and it folds away. I'm probably going to get one and then I'll do a review on it, but it folds away, it doesn't buckle, it comes in 4 different sizes. So if you've got a T6, T5, T4, you can get the smaller one. If you've got something of this size, you could get the large. They even have an extra large one if you want to kind of do like a family gathering or whatever. But they fold away these barbecues, fire pits, barbecue stroke fire pits, and they come with like a grill on the top, and I just think that would be the most awesome upgrade. If you've got one of these, tell me below, do you like it? And if not, what fire pit do you have that would be an awesome upgrade so you can share with other people watching this video? So go and look at the comments. If you're watching this video, go and look at the comments and see what other people have suggested, because I think that's always really helpful and is the point of Camper Chats. Okay. Next one, a safe or a safe box. Now, I've got a safe that's bolted to my chassis and bolted on the inside, blah blah blah. The whole point of it is that I can put my passports, my computer in when I go for a walk, and if someone broke into the van, they're smashing and grabbing but they can't get into the safe in time. Well, they wouldn't anyway, because you can't get into this safe. The idea is that if someone wants to smash and grab, that your most important valuables are unable to be just grabbed, if you like. So I've got one that takes my laptop, my drone, my camera equipment. It kind of fits everything in. But if you just wanted something for just your passport, your keys, maybe your money, any cash you've got, you can get, I noticed them, they use them for festivals. They're basically like a monster can, or you've seen the bean cans and they look like a tin of beans, but these are actually different drinks. Again, on my eBay shop, I think I saw them, and they're like a monster can, and you can put them in with your other cans or whatever it is you normally use, if you like. The next one is self-adhesive lights. So these are cheap as chips, and they're basically rechargeable strip lights that you can stick in cupboards, and they have on, off, and they have a sensor. So you can, if you put it on the sensor, it will only light up when there is movement within the cupboard. So when you go into the cupboard, then it will light up. And you'll all be noticing now that as you're going into your cupboard, you can't see what the heck is in there, because winter is here and it's a lot darker. And these rechargeable strip lights are so cheap and so easy to recharge and so easy to use, and they have magnet strips to attach, or you can like screw them in. They're like dead easy to do. So I would highly recommend them as a little upgrade that will make life a lot easier to find your bean can at the back of your cupboard. So couple of things for cooking that are a brilliant upgrade. Obviously a decent pan set. We've got the Outwell pan set with handles that unscrew, which were great in the T5. I've got a lot more room in this van, so I might be upgrading that into something something new, because I've had it ages and the non-stick stuff's coming off, which isn't good for you apparently. But of course I cannot recommend enough the SQ Professional Grill. You're talking 25 quid and you will use it every single time you're in your camper van and you're cooking. It is just so versatile. Absolutely love it. SQ Professional Grill. They're much bigger than a Ridge Monkey, so you might not like it if you're just one person, but you can do a whole meal in it, and it's like an oven in your camper van. There is the Omnia oven as well, but that's much more expensive, so I wouldn't put that on the range of the cheaper end unless you get the basic Omnia oven, which I'm actually really enjoying, and I think it's just as awesome as the SQ grill. I'm kind of weighing up, you know, which is best. Probably the Omnia oven if you want to do cakes and bread and lasagnas and things like that, but the SQ grill is a quick kind of grab and do those kind of snack meals like your pizzas and your onion bhajis and your you know, mozzarella sticks or chips or stuff like that. It's just brilliant, and you can also do like a stew in it. So the SQ Professional Grill, I would say, would be an awesome upgrade or gift for someone if they haven't got one in their camper van. Okay. Just before I do the upgrades of this van, don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe if you haven't already. There's also a hype button if you want to really help the channel, and if you watch the adverts, that gives me more money, so thanks, let's just be honest. And finally, to the end of the video, where I want to share the changes that we will make either now or in the future to this van. So if you don't know, we had a T5, we invested in that heavily, and it was our forever van. And then my mum sadly passed away and left us a bit of money, and we decided to do something amazing with it and bought this camper van, which is a lot bigger. You can stand up in it, it's got a bigger bed, and it's ace, and we absolutely love it. But there are a few things we will change either when they break or you know, well, I'll explain. So first of all will be, at the minute we have an AGM battery. Now I don't know how that's going to hold up in winter, but if we have any problems at all, we will definitely go lithium. Yes, it's expensive, but we had lithium in the T5 and we were like blown away by how much easier it is it holds its charge. The British winter doesn't affect it. It's just, you just stop worrying about electric if you've got a lithium battery. So we would definitely change the one we've got to a lithium as and when we need to. Not going to do it now because it works, so why would I? But at some point this one will go and we will change it for a lithium battery. So that's a definite lithium all the way. The second thing is we have a Chinese diesel heater in this van. Now, we've had a few problems with it, and interestingly, the chap that owned the van before us had a spare new Chinese diesel heater. So we're refitting a new Chinese diesel heater. But if we have any problems again in the future, I will probably pay, if I can afford it, for the Eberspacher diesel heater, because we had that in the T5 for all of the years we had the T5, and we never had any problems at all. It was much quicker, not as loud. It just worked brilliantly. So I kind of would swear by it. This diesel heater, we're having problems. Whether I'll do the Chinese one and be like, oh, this is great, for a couple of years and then change it, but I think the Eberspacher is the way forward. What do you think? It's a bit of a controversial issue, this. Yes, the Chinese diesel heater is a lot cheaper, but the Eberspacher, is it the creme de la creme of diesel heaters? What do you think? Tell me in the comments, because that's my thought process, but maybe you can convince me otherwise. Okay, so I've written a few things down. Oh yes, so there's only 2 more things we want to change. Okay, now this bed behind me. So when we bought the camper van, we basically had the mattress in the middle, which was still bigger than our T5 pull-out bed. It was brilliant. And at the sides, it has 2 kind of lift up things, cubby holes, if you like. Now what we found is that we want to use the width of the bed, so we decided to get a piece of carpet to cover those cubby hole bits. And that was okay for a while, but we're like, actually, it would be more comfortable if we had a piece of foam. So we then got a piece of foam, and we put the foam at the side, but then it wasn't the right height. So then we put a piece of foam under the mattress. So we've been faffing about with this bed. And now what's happened is we're so near to the ceiling that we've made a decision. We've made a decision that these cubbyhole things at the side we don't really use and we don't really need, because all you do is shove it full of stuff that is hard to get to and you tend not to use. So we're thinking of taking them out. We're thinking of lowering the bed just slightly, just by about kind of that much, so that we can sit up on this bed properly, because at the minute we can't, and we tend to not use it as a lounging area in the day. And we could do, if we could sit up on it, we'd sit with our back against the wall, have a cup of tea, whereas now you can't. You can only sit on the settee. So that is something we are definitely going to do, lower the bed. Now the only reason the bed is so high is because the gentleman who had it before us rode lots of bikes, and you can fit your bike underneath, which is awesome. I can actually fit my bike in. But somebody commented recently about when I put out on Instagram, should we lower the bed? And he said, well, yeah, because you use your bed more than you use your bike. And I thought, you're absolutely right. I use my bike at home, but I very rarely take it with me when I'm campervanning. And if we decide to do long-term travel, or when we do long-term travel, what I'd like to get is kind of folding small, lightweight e-bikes, so that we've both got one. We can park away from cities, and if we're going to go and see a city, we can just e-bike in, and that just makes perfect sense. And we're not going to need that height if we've just got a folding e-bike. So we have made the decision that we are going to lower the bed slightly. Whether we're going to lengthen it slightly, we don't know. We're still kind of figuring that out. We kind of want to devise something to just pull it out just by that much, because it's just that much too short for us. But the width ways definitely, and just fill up the whole width of the van with mattress, so that we have the most awesome, wonderful, you know, comfortable bed, and somewhere that we can lounge in the day. So that's something I'm going to do, lower the bed. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. And then finally, if you watch us, you will know that before we got this van, we were looking at building a van that was bigger, and we hired a long wheelbase van. And in that long wheelbase van, there is something that Dave absolutely loved, and it had a captain's chair. So the passenger chair swiveled round, and he was able to enjoy and lounge in that, and he loved it. And I said to Dave, we need one of those in here. Well, we don't need, we want one of those in here. So we've got at the minute a double seat at the front. which is great because the kids, if they're coming with us anywhere, can, you know, they've got a seatbelt and everything. But there is going to come a time where we take the double seat out and we get a captain's chair that swivels round so that you can, you know, it opens up this space to become all front room, if you like. Now, I'm asking for your opinions. Have you had this done? Did you do it yourself and was it simple? Is there a particular captain's chair that's better than others? Did you do it and you totally regret losing that seat? Was it worth it? Have you, you know, would you recommend somewhere that could fit it? I want you to put in the comments if you've had this done or you've got one. Do you use it? What do you like about it? What don't you like? Give me some advice, because this isn't something I've massively researched, and I always think the best research is people that have actually done it themselves. So definitely a captain's chair, that is something. So the captain's chair, lower the bed, a lithium battery and an Eberspacher heater. It might be years before we do all that because that's quite an expensive upgrade, and then probably an awning at some point, but we don't know what, because we don't want to have to take the ceiling down to put an awning rail, and we don't want a windy one because it's going to be the weight all the time, and they cost about £1,000, which is crazy just for an awning. I don't mind spending a bit of money, but carrying round an awning just feels like a bit overkill. I might change my mind in the future. But that's our thoughts at the minute. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you found this video useful, give it a like and a share. But most of all, please put in the comments your thoughts on anything that I've said. What do you think's a good upgrade? What have you recently upgraded? Give us some photographs. What do you think about our changes? Do you think I'm absolutely mad and should just leave it as it is? What do you think? I really want to know your comments below. And until then, thank you for watching, and probably see you next week with whatever adventure we're on then. Bye!